get to we can get to proceed with the session as it goes. That is, this session is going to be as long as your questions have. If your questions takes me about 2 hours to finish, that means the session will be lasting for 2 hours. But I can promise you that we won't be more than 2 hours. And we can be less than that, depending on how much clarity that I need to provide for everyone. So you can proceed and ask your question, please.
Okay. I think there was one of the classes that you talked about trim. I think that was on the data cleaning um topics, and one of the functions that you talked about was trim. So you mentioned something called string, and I wanted to know what a string is. It was part of the definition of
Trim.
trim. So I wanted to know what a string is. I'd like to know what that is because I didn't really get the definition because of that particular word. So yeah, that's one question. Um, then another question is that I tried uh I tried using some of the functions from like the data cleaning, or I tried um I used a sample, what do you call it, Excel sheet that had like a couple of data and data sets rather, and I tried to clean it. I put one or two together and all that. But then I didn't do that perfectly because what I noticed was that I missed some words that were not spelled correctly, and I think one or two other things.
Huh?
Like there were some words
Listen.
in the data set that wasn't
Molo,
spelled correctly.
Please, I'm
But
sorry.
Molo,
Please, can you mute yourself, please? If you're not
Dear
talking,
Molo,
please
no.
mute yourself. Who is this now? This person is on. Oh. Please kindly mute yourself if you are not talking, please. I don't want to mute everyone so that I will know who is talking and who is not talking. Okay, please, you can proceed now. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
no problem. I noticed that there were some words
Some
that were not
words that
spelled
were not spelled
correctly,
correctly,
and then
and then
I think there was some
I think
empty
there was some
cells
empty
too that I
cells.
missed. It was not a very large data set. It was like maybe 10 to 20 rows. So I missed that, and I just wanted to know, like, oh, okay, what would I have done better? If like I mean, considering like a very large data set, like how that, because I'm sure this is like falling under data cleaning. So I'm wondering like what would I have done better? How would I have like handled that if it was like a much larger data set? I mean, from this example I mentioned. So those are my two questions. Thank you.
Please, when you are done asking your question, can you please mute yourself? I don't want to mute everyone.
We are having class. So this place is not. But to see is it not connected to your phone? I will disconnect.
Okay, I think I can hear you now. So if anyone else has any question, please just drop a message for me or raise your hand. So I will unmute you, then you will ask your question. So that being said, to your first question, you asked that what is like I didn't really talk about the string function or the string function. There is no string function, but string in Microsoft Excel, or as a matter of fact, in data analytics, or and also in I think JavaScript and Python too. String function is a string is a data type. String is a data type. like just like when you format a data or a column, when you format a column as either, okay, let's say for instance there is a data set and then there is a column. Okay, let me come to these name ranges. Okay, I hope you guys can see my screen. So let's say this is a data set, right? Everything in this particular country column here is a everything in this particular country column is in text, right? So which means the the data type for this particular column, for this whole column, is going to be in text. If you come to your data, if you come to your under your home tab, and then you come to your number format, the format of the column is going to be in text because everything that you can find in it is text, right? Let's say there is a column that has email. Let's say there's an email column. Email is filled with different characters. You can, in an email, you can have a text, you can have a combination of text and numbers and a special character. And by special character, I mean the art character, this art here, art, anything, right? So which means that particular column cannot be defined as text anymore because it has different characters, it has values, it has text, it has special characters. So that kind of column can be formatted as general here. It can be formatted as general. But when we are talking about string is also another data format or data format or data type. When you get to when you get to your SQL, I have explained it better because we really don't have much of string function to be used in Excel. But when you get to your proper coding, your proper programming part of this course, I talked extensively on the string data type or data function. So string is a data type. It is not a data cleaning function like that. Clean is a data type itself. Clean is a data type. And by extension of the examples, let me come to okay, yeah. So for instance, these are some of the data types and their alignments. These are some of the data types and their alignment. For the text data type, you will see that the only everything in the cell is text. So this can be called the text data type. And then the following cell, everything that is in the cell is numbers, 109. So it can be called a numerical data type or whole number. Or if you have this, yeah, but if it is also in decimal, you can also choose the decimal format and also the date too. So we have different types of data types. These are some of the common data types we have here. If you want to, we have about 16 or 17 data types. Some of them don't really apply in Excel, or there is little to no use for them in Excel for some of them. But when you move to okay, Tarila, please off your video. You said your video is on. Please off your video, please. So if you in Excel, some of these data types don't really apply. Like I mean, these extensive data types don't really apply. But when you move to SQL, you are going to after our Excel, we are going to be moving straight to SQL, where we are going to be learning about proper coding, database management, and database handling and programming as it concerns data set and also data analytics and also database too. So when you get there, you are going to see much of the string function. I hope that answers your first question. And then for the second question, where you said you are the small data set, where you have your small data set and you want to make use of your trim function. Where you want to make use of your trim function, that's okay, Tarila. Where you want to make use of your trim function. And I explained that some of these functions, they perform literally as they sound. When we say trim, when we want to trim something, Trimming something has to do with, when you like downsize, something. Please, can everyone put off their video, please? Lovina, they said your video is also distracting, please. Please, everyone, can we put off our video? I don't really feel comfortable muting everyone, but at the same time, some people are actually in a noisy area. So I didn't have any choice than to mute everyone. So moving on, when we are talking about trim, like I said, trim is just when we want to downsize. And when you are trimming something, it's either you are like trying to adjust the size, how big it is, how big something is from the sides, both from the left or the right. That is what trim means, literally. And the example that was shown in the video is this same example here. You can see one of the very importance of trim function. One of the importance of trim function is to remove some spaces. Is to remove unwanted spaces or irregular spacing. Is to remove unwanted spaces or irregular spacings on our data set. Trim is very, very important. Something funny happened this past week. As a matter of fact, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, there is a client that I prepared a spreadsheet for, a payroll spreadsheet. We tried to use Excel macros and Excel automation to convert everything that happens for accountant. I think you guys will understand this better. We convert everything that every function in QuickBooks, the QuickBook software. We converted it. We implemented all those functions on an Excel spreadsheet, and we used it to prepare payrolls for small scale companies because it is not every company that is able to afford the subscription or the premium subscription of QuickBooks. So we had to find an alternative, and then we just launched it as a product that small scale companies or businesses can use. So when I gave it to when we gave I was actually the automation person. I was the one that wrote some of the Excel VBA code, that is the Visual Basic. We also covered some Visual Basic topics, macros. So I was the one that wrote the macros code. And when we sent it out to some of the clients, one of them returned it and said that when she was trying to like make reference, when she was trying to enter a pre-formatted column, a pre-formatted month column, that every other thing was working except that October month column. So I was very curious that what is going on with this data set. I tried and run every diagnostic test that I can run on this Excel file for a company, and I was looking like, I was looking like a novice that doesn't know what he's doing, because I tried as much as I can to test run for proofs for errors in the spreadsheet, and everything looks cool until they started using it, only for me to find out that in the particular month column, when I formatted it, there was instead of me to just type, let me use this name ranges. Let's say this column is the column that I'm talking about. So when I finish typing the header for the column, which I know somebody is going to try and make reference to, I mistakenly put a single space like this, a single space to the column, and then it scattered that particular it alters that particular result, only for me to find out that I think it is just a single spacing that was happening to this thing. So I had to quickly use a trim function. I had to quickly use a trim function on that particular column, and it was so funny that you would think you perfected everything. Excel is a very, very sensitive software. For a software that has been in existence for over 40 years, Excel is sensitive. At the same time, it is sophisticated. It is used by so many companies right now. And this trim function is also an important part of our data cleaning process. So trimming is like trying to like downsize I don't know the best word to use, but trying to adjust the spacing, irregular spacing on your data set. Irregular spacing on your data set. When you get to SQL2, there is a trim function too. There's a trim function that does the same job. Just that in SQL, you have to write a query. You have to write it as a query. For instance, if we want to trim this particular data set, you can see that some of these things has irregular spacing. Some of them has like 2, 3 spacing. Some has about 5. Like, it's just like the person the data entry person was just too convenient pressing down on their backspace button. So if you have a kind of data set like this, you can't go ahead and perform any analysis on it without adjusting the sizes, the spacing, the irregular spacing. And by doing that, it's just for you to use the trim function. I can just say equals to the trim, just call on the trim function, and then I will select my first cell here because I want automation, right? So I have to make reference to the particular data set. I have to make reference to the particular cell so that by the time I try to autofill down, Excel will take care of the rest for me, or double click on my fill handle. Excel will take care of the rest for me, trim, and then I'll close my bracket and I will hit enter. And then if I now double click or drag down, you will see that some of the regular spacing that I have here, look at this for second one, the prior 20 milligram, 28 CP. Everything, every spaces have been corrected. This is the function of trim. This is how the trim function works. So I don't know if I have answered your question. I don't know if I have answered your question, please.
Not quite, but yes, I understand what you just said, but not quite. What I said was that I had this Excel sheet. I was just trying out like data cleaning. I know that we are not done with like all the data cleaning classes yet, but I decided to like try out some things. And on this particular sheet, there were mistakes on the sheet. I mean, obviously it's data cleaning, so there'll be mistakes. So I think there were cells, like 1 or 2 cells that were left empty. There were names that were okay, maybe not names, but particular words that were spelled incorrectly, and just some characters like that that weren't supposed to be there anyway. But I tried like the clean oh yeah, duplicates as well. You know, I tried the clean function which worked. I tried I also used like the trim function as well, amongst other things, you know, and I did that. But I noticed that I didn't like exactly clean the sheets properly. And my concern was because this is like a small data set with like maybe like 10 to 20 rows, right? I missed some duplicates, I missed some incorrect spellings, I missed some cells that were left empty, as in like, yes, exactly. So I wanted to know, like, I mean, what I would have done better in that, like how I would have treated that. I totally understand if that's beyond the scope of like what we are doing so far, but I'm just bringing it because it's like under data cleaning.
Okay. Is that it is not beyond the scope. Like I said, I don't want to jump steps. This is a let me call it a process learning. This is a process learning, and one of the reasons why we are making it a process learning is that we want everybody to go along at the same time because I had factored in the fact that some people are slow learners. I was a slow learner, and I still am sometimes too. There are some things that I learn slowly, but once I grab it, I grab it. So that is the reason for trying that. That is one of the reasons why I don't want to jump steps as far as this course is concerned. But what you asked is not outside the scope of the course, but you are still going to cover the topic. And also, the question, thank you for explaining it very well, by the way. The question is in so many fold. There is something that is very, very important when it comes to data cleaning. I can assure you that data cleaning, if your data is not properly cleaned, can mess up everything. Data cleaning can bring the whole company down. It can bring the whole company down depending on how well you clean your data. Depending on how well you clean your data. So, and there are different cases and different ways that we can undo our data cleaning process. There is a different way to undo duplicates when you have duplicates. I think okay, we still stopped at trim. Don't worry. This week we are going to be covering substitutes, values, and duplicates. For this week, we are going to be covering those four. We are going to be covering how to remove duplicates, how to make substitution for values that you think is not correct. In the case of substitute, you are going to be replacing, let's say there are names that are spelled incorrectly, just like you've asked. Names that are spelled incorrectly, you are going to be learning how to undo them. For blanks too, there is a way we can undo blanks as an analyst. As a matter of fact, handling blank cells is also one of the most complicated things that you can have as an analyst. So there are two best ways that you can undo a blank cell. If you have a blank cell in a data set, because if you don't undo a blank cell in a data set, it can also mess up a whole lot of things for you. Though you are still going to be covering how to undo blank cells in Power BI. When you get to Microsoft Power BI, I talked extensively on how to undo your blanks. But in a case like let's say you have a current emergency right now that you need to take care of, and you cannot even wait for when we get to Power BI, right? If you have a blank cell in your data set that the client has sent to you, the first thing you need to do is to reach out to your client and tell them, I find out in a particular column, there are so many empty cells or blank cells. Is it a permissible error? That is, was it intentionally left blank during the data entry process? Was it intentionally left blank because you can't just assume for your client that the cell is empty intentionally. You can't. It might be that particular empty cell might actually be a cell that is meant to carry an important information. Sorry, that particular cell can be a cell that needs to carry an important information. So you can't just assume that you need to remove it. But if you now reach out to your client, and your client now tell you that, yeah, I think we made a mistake. The cell is there is no information. No information is meant for that particular for any blank cells you see in the data set. Then you proceed to the second way of handling blanks. And the second way of handling blanks is removing the blanks completely. You can remove the blanks completely. The part of removing blank, one of the reasons why you have to remove blanks is that by the time you get to your data visualization and dashboarding and report creation, you are going to see blanks showing itself to you. Except otherwise, you can also mute your blanks from your table. You can mute your blanks too from your table, but you cannot go ahead and alter a blank cell without consulting and confirming from your client if it is intentional. If they said it is not intentional, that maybe the person made an error, then you can go ahead and remove the blanks. You can go ahead and remove the blanks. But for the names that are not spelled correctly, that you want to correct, that is when you can make use of substitute. You can make use of substitute for Microsoft Excel. You can make use of substitute. You can also make use of your find and replace. In this second week that we are going to enter on Monday, you are going to be dealing with substitutes and how to use substitute and find and replace too. And one quick way of doing that is maybe I should just talk a little bit about it. So for instance, let's say you have this particular data set here, and this is a pharmaceutical data set, by the way. These data here, they are for drugs. They are drugs. They are name of drugs, right? So let's say your client sent it, your manager has given you this particular raw data to perform analysis on, and has been pulled from multiple sources. So you need to standardize it before you start your analysis. And then the client called you and said, sorry, the data set we sent to you, we noticed that most of the drugs there, their weight is supposed to be in grams, but instead our data entry person used milligrams. That is this mg you are seeing here. This mg, let me zoom it in so that everyone can see. This mg you are seeing here is not actually meant to be mg, it's not actually meant to be milligrams, it is meant to be just grams. So I want, please help us adjust it to grams before you start working on it. And how can we do that? We can make use of the substitute function, and we can also make use of find and replace. The find and replace function. We can make use of that too. So how do we do that? Is just for you to call on your substitute, say equals to substitute. I really don't want to jump this, but I need to explain very well so that you understand. And then when Excel opens the parentheses for you, Excel will ask you, what is the text you want to? I want to start from this particular text here, comma, and then I want to. What is your old text? My old text is, you will open a quotation mark here. Open a quotation. My old text is milligram mg on this data set, comma. Excel moves to the new text. What is your new text? What do you want to replace it with? I want to replace it with just grams. So I'm going to say G, and then I'll close my brackets, and then I'll hit enter. So if you look at this first drug here, I have program 5 milligrams, and I have changed it to program 5 grams. And then if I just double click or drag down, Excel will have automatically adjusted the rest for me. So everywhere you see milligrams here, you will now start seeing grams. That is how to substitute misspelled words. That is how to substitute misspelled words or names. So I hope I have been able to answer your question a little bit. I hope I have been able to provide clarity to your question. Hello? Hello, Samuel.
Yes.
I hope I've been able...
Yes, you have. Thank you.
All right. So is there anyone with any other question again? Anything that we need to...
Good morning. I have a question, like 2 questions. So,
okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So the first one is, you said we should try multiplication table the last time, one of those courses, as maybe classwork, like from 1 to 50. So if we want to type in that 1 to 50, are we going to type in like 1 to 50, or there's a way we can type in 1 to 50 at once, like both up and the sideways?
You are talking about this
Do
one
you
on my
get
screen. Can you see my screen? Yes, I get your question. Can you see my screen?
Yes, this one. Yes,
okay.
I can see it. Like something like
okay,
this
said,
now. Are we going to type in 1, 2, 3, or we can do it once? There's a way we can do it once.
There is a way you can do it once. At the same time, for I don't know how to put it now. For you to help you improve on your dexterity, manual dexterity, that is for those that didn't go through Mavis Beacon class when we were learning computer that time, you can use that. You can use that as a practice. But if you really want to take the high road, you want to act like the professional, there is a function in Excel that we call sequence.
Okay.
We call it sequence. So for instance, if you want to do something like that, just say equals to sequence. And this sequence function is only available on the 2024 Microsoft Excel version. Really, I think it's from 2021 downward. I'm not sure it is available. It is a new function, by the way, and it is actually because of users like you and me that made a complaint on Microsoft's platform that they need something like something that can do this particular job like this. That, let's say I want to type 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't just be typing 1. I can't just be typing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. I need to do it automatically. So that is why the sequence function was invented. That is how the function was invented. And how to use it is we just say equals to sequence, and then how do you want your rows to be? I want my rows to be in 1, comma. How do I want my columns to be? I want my columns to be in 0, 0, 1. And then where do I want to start? I want to start as 1 also. And I want the step should be in, do I want it to be in 0, 0, 1, and then skip to 0, 0, 3, then 0, 0, 5, like omit, or let's say you want to do it in multiples of 3 or 2 or 3. Then you just have to follow this parenthesis. I think we are also going to come across the sequence function when you get there. There is also a topic on sequence when you get there. So don't let me give it out for now. You will learn it on your own.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so the second question is, please, that instance number, what's the instance number? You didn't give us like an example or show us instance number.
Instance on this sequence that I just showed.
No. Is it trim? I think the trim function, Abby. Yeah, the trim function. You know, after
Really?
the old text, new text, then instance number. You said in case there's instance number. Is it substitutes? Yeah, sorry, substitutes. Yes.
Yeah, substitute. Okay.
Yes.
Let me see. I'm coming. Substitute. Yeah. For instance, okay,
yes.
Yeah. What this instance number means is that, let's say we have, okay, let me say the old text is this. Let me do this again. This is the old text. This is the text. Then the old text is mg, like I said, mg. The new text is g. Now, what this instance number means is that, let's say you have a different kind of, you have different types of mg on this. Let's say there is a capital letter. Let's say there is a capital. There is a particular column. There is a particular cell. Let's say there is a cell that has let me say paragraph 5 mgg. Paragraph 5 mgg. 50 caps. Let's say you have a data set that is like this too, right? There is the one you want to correct is mg, and you have something that also has to do with mgg. So in order for Excel not to mix up this mgg, you are the only one that knows that is actually correct. It is not typed wrong. But the ones that are just standing as mg are typed wrong. So what your instance number is going to do is that your instance number is going to limit your end result to just mg and not touch this your mgg. And that it is always in rare cases that you are going to make use of that instance number, on rare cases. Because for you to even understand that you need to make use of your substitute function, that means you have actually studied the data set and you know there is something that needs to be substituted. Do you understand?
Yes.
So the instance number is just put there so as to make sure that if there is a case of similarity or something that is close to what you want to do, what you want to remove, then that is when you use your instance number. But instead of using your instance number, it is always better sometimes to make use of your find and replace when it comes to substituting. And you know there is something similar, there is something like this there. Just make use of your find and replace. Just replace it so that for accuracy's sake. And if you really want to set a very strict rule for Excel in terms of your substitute, just come to your options here. Like I mentioned in the video, make sure you match your case and make sure you match entire cell content. By the time you click on this match entire cell content, Excel is not going to touch anyone that has MGG. The second G here has invalidated anything that anything that Excel might want to do to affect this MGG here. Do you understand now?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
All right. Sorry, I think we'll have to rejoin this link in a matter of few seconds because this particular meeting is about to expire. Just if you notice my you can't hear me anymore, rejoin the link, please.